All right, everyone. It's one of those days. You got the full weather team with you. I'm meteorologist Matt Hefner, joined with the chief and Tom Schmidt. It's active day. You guys have already covered some tornado warnings that happened earlier into the day. Kind of initial thoughts on what happened, initial thoughts on what we can see for the rest of the night, guys.
Well, I kind of let Tom take that away because, I mean, he was here when the first warning started coming in during the onset of the morning show. Tom?
Yeah, it was right after our newscast. Daybreak ended at 7. We went into the lifestyle show, and it was right away. Got that first tornado warning up in Bates County, Henry County. So really kind of the fringes of where we are, but that kind of kicked things off. Had another confirmed tornado actually just to the east of Butler up there. That moved in, moved out. Then this other storm we're looking at now from Nevada, that kicked in around 7:40. That was confirmed by radar with debris. And, you can see some damage there in Nevada. That's Vernon County. And then we had a couple other smaller warnings after that, but right now we kind of caught this lull around the midday. We're waiting for the afternoon, though, to come around for more.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I mean, you can see in that damage in the Nevada area. I mean, it's not one of those where it's like, oh, where is the damage? I mean, you can clearly see stuff strewn about the streets, roof damage with this home right there. You know, if we had to guesstimate, Tom, it's looking kind of like EF1 maybe.
Yeah,
EF1 damage.
Maybe high end one. There's some other like that one there.
The roof's there look more.
The
Look at
roof's
that
off.
back of the car. Did you see the? Let me see if I can try to get that video paused a little bit better. But I mean, it's
so maybe high end EF1, low end EF2.
Could be. And you scroll around like on Facebook and X, you'll find pictures and stuff on there, and you can see there are a lot of roofs that are removed
Look at
from
that
structures.
car. Look what happens at the back end of that, where it just got absolute. Looks like it got smacked by
something. Probably hit that.
I'm gonna guess maybe the roof hit that car.
Could be.
Laying just
right there
just
below.
kind of based on how things are associated right there. But yeah, you could see the that portion of the roof ripped off and on the pavement. Lots of limb debris in the roads, and there's some. You can see that tree right there kind of split in the background. So. This is what folks in Nevada woke up to this morning. Kind of a unsettling way to begin your day, right?
Early this morning. 7:30 is when it began in Moundville, just to the south and west of Nevada. Then it went into Nevada about 7:40, and so folks are getting ready for school. Parents are getting kids ready to go to the bus stop.
Yeah.
Maybe your kid's on the bus at this time, and hey, there's a tornado warning with a confirmed tornado coming to town.
Let's talk about some of the power outages. We're seeing some of the damage that's coming in. Here's some of the residual effects. People in Vernon County, about 2,000 without power. To the south of that, Barton County, about 250 people without power. This has been improving. Those numbers were definitely worse earlier. So getting those power lines. Taney County, about 400 people without power. Expecting really areas off to the southeast to get worse. You mentioned, hey, we're in this low right now. That was planned. We were expecting this to really fire up around sunrise and then start to back off and then fire up again into the afternoon. Let's switch it over to radar and get a peek at kind of what we're seeing right now, because at our time of recording this, National Weather Service just issued a very large severe thunderstorm warning. This is for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail.
Okay, and quarter-size hail. Yeah, so
I need you to scoot over a little bit, Chief. I'm kind of cutting you off on the camera. There you go. Get close.
So, it looks like we've got a couple of different clusters, and we have the cluster in eastern Christian County that extends northeast across Wright County. That warning extends into northern Texas County. So that broken line of thunderstorms is going to head in that general direction off to the northeast. Then another big batch of thunderstorms near and south of the state line from west of Mountain Home. Looks like it's across Harrison back into the Jasper area. That, too, will need to be watched as it tracks toward the northeast. So at this stage, we have a couple of different clusters of thunderstorms or line segments of thunderstorms. Nothing looking terribly organized at this point, but the environment ahead of these storms is very supportive of severe weather. In fact, probably more so than certainly what we've had along the Highway 65 corridor. The one difference between early today and this afternoon, and it's only marginal, is that there was a lot of wind energy that was impacting those storms in western Missouri. That's why we saw the tornado development that we had. But even though the wind energy is a little bit lesser to the east and southeast, there's going to be more instability available, it looks like, for those storms. So that should offset any reduction in wind shear. So I think that we're looking at a big day, and it starts up probably closer, between Highway 65 and Highway 63, we should see things ramp up. And then those storms should push east of Highway 63 late this afternoon. And then as we head into the late afternoon and evening time frame, areas off to the east are really going to be under the gun.
You can kind of see this boundary right in here. I got a little squiggly drawn in that line. Let me redo that. If you're on the backside of this line, you're not going to see anything tornadic. So people are really along 44, backside of 44. Springfield, you're in the clear. It's areas that are further off into the east. And this is very similar to kind of what just happened on Sunday, where we got into the afternoon hour, more thunderstorms fired up for the exact same region that we're concerned about. So those areas that are kind of off into the east of Highway 63. The same area where there's a little bit more instability. The atmosphere is primed for this. We're looking at temperatures earlier. I think Poplar Bluff was into the low 80s, and that's an area that's under this high risk by the Storm Prediction Center. That they don't throw that around too much.
No, they don't.
Whenever you see that kind of that purple box, that pink box, you can be prepared for that.
The difference, too, between Sunday and today is there's a lot more wind energy. There was a lot of wind energy Sunday afternoon, and that's why we had all of the hail that we found south of I-44 Sunday afternoon into the early evening. This afternoon, there's even more wind energy, and it looks like there's going to be quite a bit of instability in place. So these storms, we do expect them to be hail producers, probably very large hail, maybe approaching tennis ball size like we saw with Sunday's storms. But there's also going to be a higher risk than what we found on Sunday, a higher risk of tornadic weather with these thunderstorms. And you can see that high-risk area that Matt has kind of popped up for us to look at. Eastern Arkansas into southwestern Kentucky, high-risk area. And there's two ways that we're going to get severe weather in those areas. One is the line of storms that will likely take shape in our area and then push into that region. But even ahead of that line, it now looks like there's going to be what we call discrete thunderstorm development. Basically, these are the thunderstorms that are kind of scattered, but they're on their own. They're more isolated in nature. It's not a line of storms. And those are probably going to be the ones that would verify that high risk. Those are going to be the ones, given the environment that is set up where we have the high risk area. Those are going to be the ones that could produce not only tornadoes, but maybe violent tornadoes, maybe violent long-track tornadoes.
That's what we got to watch out for. Tornado watches, in effect. Places further off to the east in Oregon County, I know like Wayne County, Butler County, you're not in the tornado watch right now. I promise you will be, because this all violent energy is going to start to come their way. Let's try to get an hour by hour on this, I believe.
Yeah, that tornado watch right there, that runs through 4 o'clock this afternoon. And as you said, Matt, it looks like, I think probably by about 5, you have the hour by hour up. That's 5 o'clock. You can see at that point the line of severe storms is starting to exit our area and push off to the east. So I think for our viewing area, our local area, areas between Highway 65 and Highway 63 where we have the tornado watch right now, that'll probably run through 4 o'clock and then we'll be done with it. Areas off to the east, I know that they're already mulling, issuing a tornado watch for northeast Arkansas, southeast Missouri, and points east.
Look at places in Howe County. I mean, is this the HER that you have here, Jamie, or is it the graph?
That's the graph.
The graph is almost putting up a train of thunderstorms to go through Howe County. You get hit through 1, you get hit with 2, you get hit through 3, and maybe get hit with 4. I mean, that is, and these are going to be violent, strong storms capable of producing large hail and that tornado threat that we want to make sure people are aware of.
Yeah, I mean, the concern is, again, right now you have east of Highway 65 and especially near and south of I-44, that same zone that got hit with hail back on Sunday afternoon, that area hasn't been worked over by any thunderstorm activity. I mean, it is getting primed right now as temperatures are climbing through the 70s. It's very humid in those areas now as dew points are climbing through the 60s. And those two ingredients, you can see 76 in West Plains, 74 in Ava, 76 at Fort Leonard Wood, and climbing. In those areas, you have that combination of warmth and humidity, which will lead to greater levels of instability. That's the storm fuel. And then in addition to that, we've got a lot of wind energy. The wind energy, in one way you can kind of relate to it is when you step outside, it's windy. I mean, that's some of the wind energy in the atmosphere mixing down to the surface. Another way is when you look at the forward movement of these thunderstorms, just like we saw back on March the 14th, they are racing. Now, I don't think the storm motions are going to be quite as fast over our eastern counties as they were over our western counties this morning, but they're still going to be very fast. This morning, there were, in some of the warnings that we got, there were forward speeds of up to 80 miles per hour.
They were fast.
Yes.
They were quick.
Yeah, and on average, they were 60 to 70 miles per hour. So that is an incredibly fast forward motion for a thunderstorm. And Matt, if you go ahead and click on the warning right now, we can see what the forward motion is on that particular line of storms. It's probably moving pretty quick.
They got this at 60 quarter-sized hail.
Yeah.
I'm also
So if you pull, let's do the pull down on the right. That'll give us our forward speed. So we're looking at
55
miles
northeast
per hour.
That's
So
another fast storm.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's pretty representative of what we're going to see over there. Speeds of probably 55, 60 miles per hour. Tom and I, when we were doing the coverage this morning, we were talking about that. Just that, when tornado warnings are issued this afternoon, because of the fast motion of these storms, there's less time than you might think to react.
look at that hail core.
Yeah, you can see the
look at that
bills.
hail core just north of Ava.
Yeah. So what we're saying when we say today is going to be one of those days where you need to be very vigilant, you need to be very weather aware, because if a tornado warning gets issued for your area, you may not have much time to react before that tornado's upon you. So today's one of those days, as soon as that warning gets issued, know what you're going to do, know where you need to be, and get there fast, because it's very likely that these tornadoes could be moving at speeds of 50 to 60 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's why we always kind of say, I mean, this is a day where you want to have that plan already in place before the storms get there. You don't want to be rushing around last minute, trying to gather everything, gather people, pets. I mean, there's problems there on its own, just trying to organize everything you'll need. So know what you're going to do now before stuff happens later today.
Yeah.
You need to be weather aware for today, and then we have more chances of thunderstorms. I think today is definitely the worst, probably the scariest threat we have, but we have more opportunities for thunderstorms. Really for Friday, that's a day that we've been pinpointing that we can see them return. It's just going to be a soggier and an active pattern we have to deal with over the next couple days.
Today was probably the most widespread severe weather day for our area, meaning areas north of I-44, south of I-44, looking at a risk of severe weather. Tomorrow, I think we're going to be able to kind of push that risk for severe storms to the south into southern Missouri, northern Arkansas, generally well south of I-44. Anything that we see tomorrow is going to be it's going to be in the form of hail. I don't expect damaging wind gusts. I don't expect tornadoes in our area tomorrow. It's going to be hail that we could find with thunderstorm activity in northern Arkansas into south central Missouri tomorrow afternoon. Now, as we look ahead to Friday, Friday's a different story. Now, Friday, there's the potential, and I'll put it that way, potential for the front, which I think through Thursday night into Friday morning will be suppressed south of our area. So we'll be on the cool side, the more stable side of that front. There's going to be an opportunity possibly for that front to wobble back to the north across northern Arkansas, and then maybe up to just south of I-44. If that happens, that will draw the warm sector back to the north across areas like Mountain Home and Ava and West Plains, maybe as far north as Fort Leonard Wood. And with that warm sector back in place and still lots of wind energy, there is going to be a risk maybe of severe weather Friday afternoon into the overnight Friday night. And then I think after another this will happen as a wave of low pressure kind of ripples up the front. And then as that passes by, that will probably force the front back to the southeast so that by Saturday morning, that severe weather risk has shifted back to our south. And at that stage, we're just dealing with more heavy rainfall. And that's going to be the other side of this coin, is the heavy rainfall.
Now look at you, Chief. You made a graphic for us. This is why you're 9 times most accurate.
Right.
Got the graphic already made. I should have pulled that up while you're talking about it.
This is one of those days where there's limited time to make graphics, so you kind of build off what you already had. So this is something I built out yesterday, but it holds for today. The setup, if you back that graphic up, the setup will look like this at the end of the week. We're going to have a trough in the western United States, and anytime you see a trough in the west in the spring, watch out for the potential of severe weather. It's just one of those generalisms that you can kind of look for. And we're going to have a trough in the west, and out of that trough, we're going to have these waves of upper level energy, which are going to move northeast, interacting with that frontal boundary. The front that's going through today and tonight will stall to our south. So those waves will interact with that front, and it will generate waves of rain and thunderstorms. And so as long as the rain and thunderstorm activity can keep the air mass worked over and that front sort of reinforced to our south, we don't have to worry too much about, like, outside of hail, severe weather.
Big rain totals. I mean,
Yeah.
flooding is a concern here.
A huge concern. Yes.
These are big numbers.
They are.
Yeah.
The low end
Well-
is 2, and then it goes
Yeah.
3, 5, 7. A bullseye. I saw. I don't think we're getting this much, but I was looking at some models. Some models were saying over a foot of snow. I think
Over
the
a foot of
GFS was saying or
Snow.
snow.
Like snow. When you're talking that many
Man.
inches of rain,
Well,
it feels
normally
like
when you
snow.
say a foot,
Yeah.
you talk about snow.
Yeah,
You're not
yeah.
talking about rain. So,
That's true. Yeah.
Is that off the
foot of
wrap
snow.
model? Are you looking at the wrap model? Inside joke.
Man,
Um,
snow, rain, people. It's been a long day. It's been.
Well, and okay, so you were talking about the last time we had an event like this was back in early November. Guys, you probably remember that stretch where we went a month without a drop of rain.
And then we got it.
Yeah.
And then
And it
Almost
all
got to
came
the
at
driest
once.
peak of all time.
Right, and then it came all in one fell swoop at the beginning of November, and it
Yeah.
really hammered areas south of I-44,
That was election
Mountain
day.
Home, West Plains. Yes, I mean they got dumped on. I think some places saw over 10 inches of rain in that event. So that's probably the last time that we had a rain event similar to what we're going to find this coming end of the week through this upcoming weekend. It's going to be interesting too, because this is going to be one of those cases where the rain's not all coming in one fell swoop. This will be waves of rain and thunderstorms.
It's a slow burn.
Slow
it's
burn.
a slow burn that we have to get through tonight. Not as much as a slow burn, more of an explosive burn where we have chances of those tornadoes. Really concerned about areas that are further off to the east, the same area that had the tornado threat for Sunday, the same area that had the tornado threat for the 14th. I think our opportunity to see anything severe in Springfield, that's been closing. So we have to watch out for tornadoes returning tonight. Thunderstorms expected to really take place almost every day from here on out afterwards, with that threat of more chances, a whole lot of rain and flooding that we have to get through. We will probably be live later on providing more updates, tracking this, especially if there's a tornado warning. We absolutely will be live. Anything to add before we kind of wrap this up?
No, it's just folks, be weather aware today, especially if you live, again, east of Highway 65, where the severe weather threat is moving into right now. Development could come on fast. So I would say over the next hour to 2 hours, just watch for things to ramp up and watch for that severe weather risk to ramp up with it.
All right, we're going to head out. We got more updates on Ozarks Live, more updates on our Facebook page. Thanks for watching.